Well, welcome to another Cafecito conversation, and I'm just delighted to be joined today in our virtual coffee house with Everette Brooks. And Everett's the Executive Director for Military and Veteran Services here at Azusa Pacific. And during our Cafecitos, it's just a wonderful time to have this little coffee, Cafecito, and talk to a dear colleague and friend. So Everett, just tell us a little bit about yourself and your role here at APU.
Well, Richard, thank you very much. I'm the Executive Director of Military and Veteran Services, and this is my 5th year here at Azusa Pacific University. Prior to that, I worked 10 years at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, pretty much in student affairs. And prior to that, I had 12 years of military service, in addition to a stint as system manager at Home Depot.
Well, Everett, we're just blessed that you're here with us at APU with a wealth of experiences that you bring to your particular role here. And so for those that are listening to us or watching us today, the topic of our Cafecito conversation is student support. And Everett and I have been through the Diversity Ambassador program here at Azusa Pacific, and we use the cultural proficiency continuum. And one part of that continuum is called cultural blindness. And I wanted to just kick off our little coffee house thoughts with jumping off from that cultural blindness on the continuum, because I have heard teachers or professors say, you know, when I'm with my students and when I see my classroom, I just see students. They're just students, and I'm here to give them information, and they're here to absorb that information. And that's a really a description of cultural blindness, Everett, that they're just seeing students, but they're not seeing literally the students in their class, or knowing them, or appreciating all their experiences. So Everett, I've been thinking a lot about that for military veteran connected students, how do we really see them? What is it at APU that faculty, staff can see our students to truly support them?
Well, Richard, that's a really good question, because as you see a military connected student, initially there are some thoughts that come to mind, like you just mentioned, but they're diverse in their makeup. They have not only from gender, men and women, but with the excuse me, in the ethnic breakdown as well.
Mm-hmm.
They come from all walks of life, all cities, states, and municipalities, but also they've been to a lot of diverse places that become a part of them. Like me, I served in Europe for 6 years. So part of that culture is in me now. So I'm able to articulate that through experiences. And, you know, I know firsthand a lot of things that a regular student in a classroom would not have been exposed to. So those are our students. They've been managing a whole airfield worth of equipment. They've done jobs that appear on Call of Duty, but as people look at them, they just appear to be regular students. However, they have a breadth of knowledge. I worked with veterinary doctors for 12 years, but I mean, just looking at me and without asking me that question, you wouldn't know that.
Right.
Because, you know, my job entails, you know, working with military connected students. However, I do have a skill set that is outside of my degree, and it's outside of the job I'm performing.
Right. So Everett, with your diverse experiences, and then with the diverse experiences that our military connected students bring to APU, tell us a little bit about how your particular office supports those students. And for I know in the work I've done with you that you're very well connected with your students in building that community with them. So tell us a little bit about how you network, how you support military connected students.
Well, Richard, one of the ways that we do that is we kind of mirror the approach that we had while we were in the military. As you acquire rank in the military, your level of responsibility expands to include counseling and mentorship of younger soldiers, airmen, Marines in your program. Excuse me. So what happens is that level of connectedness not only to allow them to accomplish the mission, but also that allows them to be successful college students as we follow them throughout their educational journey. Um, I'm not opposed to calling a student, find out how things are. Sometimes we have gotten a list of each student in the semester, and somebody from our office will call them and ask them how things are going. Not only the schoolwork, but also how their family's doing, and how are things going outside of school. So
Right.
that could be the Veterans um, Administration, healthcare system. A lot of us, that's our medical program that we belong to. So we know the nuances of the VA healthcare system. So we might ask them a question about that, or has their family gotten the the health care that they needed in a timely fashion? So we kind of dig down deep to the nuts and bolts of a total relationship with the student along their educational journey.
Okay.
So we're not afraid to do that.
So you are proactive. You're
Yeah.
proactive in connecting with your students. You're proactive with helping them connect with the military um, programs that they need. And tell us also about how you're proactive about connecting them with our APU uh, network and university.
Well, Richard, that's very important too, because we want to capture them while they're here and provide them with resources that we have dedicated at the university that's going to help them out. Advising center, the career center, uh, accessibility and disability. We have chaplain support. We have chapel programs, which helps them understand the value of going to chapel and what that really means. Because as being military connected students, they may be older, and the chapel programs for undergrads are, it's a necessity. So they have to become exposed to that, and
Mm.
there are ways they can get an exemption if they live far out, but they're going to the Azusa campus. But that element and the faith-based integrated classroom experience is definitely going to be a part of their educational journey here at APU. So
Beautiful.
we want to make sure that they get exposed to that. So we do have the counseling center. We do have a health care system um, that they can start here. If they need aftercare, they can access the VA system
Okay.
or any one of the healthcare facilities that they may have in their system.
So support from your executive director role is multifaceted. And
correct.
not only do you help your students connect with, say, the VA and military services, but you also help them connect with APU program support.
Yes,
So
that's correct.
in thinking about this support for military connected students here at APU, um, in previous conversations we've had, kind of informally over our coffees, um, yes, we've talked about some misperceptions too, Everett, that um, members of our APU community might have about the military connected students. And um, how do we address those? Being very open with you, or are there some even common misperceptions that we might be able to be more sensitive to in order to make those important connections with veteran connected students, military connected students?
Yes. So there, first of all, yes, you're entirely correct. But I think that's worldwide. It's not just in a school setting,
Okay.
um, because there's been some misperceptions based on things people may have seen in the news
Hmm.
or something like that that may cause people to either refrain from talking to veterans or military connected students or looking at them a little differently. And what we want to, bring to the table is the fact that even though they've been through some experiences that may have been outside of the scope of most, human beings, to be honest, um, you know, there's still dedicated students who have a penchant for public service
Right.
and they give a lot of themselves, which makes it really sensitive because it's in the core of their heart and their being. So they become a bit sensitive about those issues.
Right.
So it touches them a little bit. So we do have a VetNet Ally class that we teach to faculty and staff or anyone who wants to go through it, in which we, articulate some of the nuances of why they joined the military, what kind of job they had while they were in, the skill set, the professionalism that they acquired, and then the dedicated student-oriented aspect and service that they still have about them, and they bring that to APU, and they can be an asset to a classroom environment because they're used to that. And I think that's one of the things, the military connected students, the ones that have been in the military, can be an asset to a classroom. So I think it's a really good idea to include them into the fabric of the discussions. And if they choose not to be involved to the point where it may be a questionable question about military service in general, they will either refrain or give you the real. Well, no, it's not like that in the Philippines. I've been there. It's really like this, and they can attest to their experience, and then bring about some opportunities for debate if that's where the conversation goes.
Right.
From a factual standpoint,
Okay.
not just some news article that may articulate the situation.
Hmm. So once again, the military, veteran, those connected students are um, a wealth of information, and their experiences can enrich our campus and can enrich those conversations that are held in the classroom. So you mentioned a program. So
I like that.
right,
Okay.
right. How
Yes.
can so you probably have intrigued some folks that are listening. Oh, and for those that are just listening on a future podcast, I'm holding up a sticker actually that Everett gave me about a year or so ago called VetNet Ally. And so how how do I proactively, as a member of APU, become a VetNet ally? And you mentioned some program or something you facilitate. So if you could explain that to our listeners and our viewers right now, and how do I become a VetNet ally?
Okay, so we pair that VetNet ally that I facilitate, and I bring some military connected students with me. It's about an hour long, and we leave an opportunity at the end for questioning directly on to the students, and we've tailored it to their experiences at Azusa Pacific
Good,
University.
good.
So that's one thing. The way you can get that session taught is to inquire directly to my office.
Okay,
It's on the website,
okay.
or you can email ebrooks at apu.edu, and I will fill the request. I'll get some students to come out on a panel, and we will go through the PowerPoint presentation, but also leave time for the students to explain their journey themselves, which may be different.
Hmm.
Each one of them may be different, which is really good. And
Yeah.
they'll tell you if you have some misconceptions or previous ideas about, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, Coast Guard. It's tough being a Marine. They have the toughest basic training, or the Air Force is really for smart people, and the other services aren't as smart. There are those misconceptions out there,
Hmm.
and we'll tell you from our experiences how we feel about them. Sometimes we have inter-service rivalries where I might, as an Army veteran, tease a Marine or an Air Force or a Navy person, and they'll do the same to me. It's kind of, that's just how you develop your thinking. We're one service, but once you break us down into our components, we're highly competitive
Okay.
as far as how we feel about the other service. So we work together a
Good.
lot,
Good.
but sometimes we do have that rivalry, like the Army Navy football game and
Right.
Air Force football game. So we do have those inter service rivalries.
Well, we're thankful you are in your position in Office of Military and Veteran Services, and you help to channel those energies into our APU community.
That's
And
correct.
so as we begin to wind down our little coffee time together, see my
Okay.
mug can show everybody that I've got my coffee here. As we begin to wind down our time, Everett, is there anything else you'd like to tell our listeners, viewers right now, uh, that we should be considering in terms of totally bringing in our military connected students into our APU community?
Well, there's a few things, Richard. And one of them is that, we are a diverse group. We bring diversity into the university, and that's broken down even further by the demographics, and that's totally fine. We all comers will incorporate them. We have a similar calling of service. So when we get here, we're really able to expand upon that. So that's a good thing. The
Right.
other thing I want to say, Richard, is when we do have traditional or military tradition events that everyone knows about. We know about Veterans Day. We know about September 9/11. So when our school and my office puts on events and programs like that to honor and the service and sacrifice of the men and women of our country who are now APU students or faculty, we would like for people to come out, show your support, um, believe they notice the fact that when we have support and the university comes out, it really puts a good feeling in their hearts, and they will then pass that on to other veterans who are considering, getting a bachelor's degree or a master's degree or even a PhD. They'll tell them, "Hey, my experience at APU was, the support was so great that you should consider that school." And yeah, if they do serve or they get their benefits transferred to them by their parents, um, their college degree is paid for. And the Department of Defense has stated that if you serve the allotted amount of time in which you signed up for, you will qualify for GI Bill benefits. And we got it to where you can articulate that into a bachelor's degree and potentially a master's degree with no money out of your pocket,
Wow,
simply because you served. So that's a pretty good deal.
that's fantastic, Everett. And to all of our military connected students that might be joining us today, we thank you for your service and we thank you for your important contributions to Azusa Pacific University. And Everett, thank you for all you do for the university as a whole, and also specifically for military connected students, making them feel welcome and helping bring people together to understand their unique experiences and how they can contribute those experiences to our university. So, God bless you. Thank you for your time today, and thank you for the wonderful work you do.
Thank you, Richard, and God bless your office for presenting my office in this manner, and we'll continue to support each other moving forward. So thank you.
God bless.
God bless you.